Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mac Music Review. As you may be able to tell, I'm in a different space, and there's other people here, so I'm going to try to lower my voice. My voice is very loud. Hope I'm coming through loud and clear. Also, don't want this to be ASMR, so we're going to work on it. Today, we are talking about the Two Door Cinema Club album, Gameshow. Gameshow is not a very notorious album. It's not an album that's really in the music nerd headspace sphere. It's not an album that people really care about. It's not an album that I think Two Door Cinema fans even care about. It's just people don't really care for this album in general. It gets kind of mediocre reaction, which is kind of funny because I really like some of this album. Specifically, the first four songs of this album I think are really kind of outstanding. Are We Ready? Bad Decisions, specifically Ordinary. Ordinary has such a great hook, such satisfying production and sound effects and all that kind of stuff. And then Gameshow is a really just bombastic song, the most energetic track on this whole album. The chorus goes crazy. The lead singer is belting his heart out. It's really hard for this song and for any of these first four songs to not get stuck in my head and just me playing them on repeat. And I really do want to be listening to these songs on repeat because they really are just strong, more mid-tempo. They're still very upbeat, but they're more mid-tempo, a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, but they're not the same type of energy that you see on Tourist History. It's a very different side of the band, even though they're kind of still making the same type of music. I think Lavender is also a good track. I don't think it's the same quality of these first four, and it is going to be a little bit of nostalgia speaking. I was really kind of shocked at how much I enjoyed this album on a repeat listen, because I remember thinking it wasn't that good, but it was an album that I really did listen to a lot back when I started doing my music reviews on paper. I guess I listened to it a lot in preparation for the review, and I was a big fan of the band because of Tourist History. To this day, that's the only album of theirs that I think is really great. But this song I remember liking a lot back then, and just really, it's got a cool hook. There's a lot of different parts to it. It's very multifaceted, and the vibe and the tempo is not going to be for everybody, but it works for me. The hook on Fever, however, is pretty weak, and then the following song, Invincible, is like a ballad. It's essentially a ballad, and it feels very out of place. It's, and like I said, the album is much more mid-tempo than what you would expect if you're just a fan of Tourist History, which I think is most people's and music enjoyers' relationship with Two Door Cinema Club, is really enjoying one album and not really caring about the band or their other albums. And this song will definitely let you down if you're like a huge Tourist History fan, because Invincible is just boring. Like it's definitely the weakest track on the album. The next three tracks, Good Morning, Surgery, and the one the title might be in French. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. Good Morning is a solid tune. Nothing crazy, nothing that's gonna blow your mind, nothing terribly interesting, but it's solid. Surgery sounds awkward. It's just an awkward sounding track. It's just a little bit clunky. And then you come to the last track, which feels like a return to form after these more mid-tempo or slightly awkward songs with kind of weak hooks. And you get to this last song and you're like, oh, this is nice. This is a return to form, but it just doesn't have the same quality as the first or four or even five tracks on the album. So I'm not, the album just kind of, it starts off strong and then it kind of leaves you feeling kind of disappointed and just feeling like, oh, I'm going to add a couple songs to a playlist, but I can kind of scrap the rest. And that's not to say that the rest of the album is bad. It's certainly not. It's certainly enjoyable enough. It just doesn't offer a lot. Like, there's a lot of bands in the exact same space of like really upbeat, energetic, alternative pop rock who are doing this better. And I wish I could name other bands off the top of my head. Imagine Dragons. No, I'm kidding. But it's not the best thing in the world. It's it's like a 3 out of 5 for me. It's got some good stuff. I was really leaning towards a higher score. I was really leaning towards like a 3.5 out of 5 or maybe even a 4 out of 5. Listening to the album on shuffle, which is interesting. This is very interesting because I would get these really great songs just scattered throughout, but then if you listen to it really intentionally from track 1 to track 10, you find out that all of the good songs are front loaded onto the record, and then you get all these like much weaker or awkward or kind of just unimpressive songs later on. So it's kind of a disappointing experience, I guess. But that was my experience with this album. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Any sort of like notoriety, not really any popularity. It doesn't have a lot going for it in terms of being in the cultural can't talk.